Chapter 1. Stillness in the Spring Wind. In the earliest days of the earth, when time still moved like mist over mountaintops, there was a valley where spring never ended. The air was warm with the scent of blooming violets and ripe pomegranates. Petals drifted through the wind like whispers. The grass, ever soft, curled like green silk beneath bare feet. And in the middle of that endless spring wandered a girl, Persephone, daughter of Demeter, goddess of grain and harvest. She wore a crown of woven blossoms, freshly picked from the meadows, her fingers stained with pollen and light. Her laughter echoed like wind chimes across the hill, soft and fleeting. The sun adored her. The trees leaned when she passed. The bees sang lullabies as they followed her from one flower to another. Persephone was not yet a queen, not yet a bride. She was only a girl, untouched by sorrow, untouched by love. But even in her unknowing joy, something stirred beneath her feet. Far below, deeper than the roots of trees and rivers, a pair of ancient eyes opened. In the underworld, beneath the earth, where sunlight dared not tread, the underworld lay still. Its rivers glowed with silver sorrow. Its stones whispered in forgotten tongues. The dead wandered silently, their dreams like dust, and upon a throne of polished obsidian, Hades, lord of the dead, sat in thought. He was not cruel, he was not cold, but he was alone. For eons he had watched mortals love and die, build and crumble, bloom and decay. He ruled their endings but not their hearts. Until one day, as he stood by the veil between worlds, he heard a sound, a giggle like starlight dropping into water, a laugh, distant, soft, alive. He looked, and for the first time in 1,000 years, he saw her, Persephone. Hades did not rise in anger. He rose in longing. He watched her chase butterflies among the reeds, her dress trailing behind her like morning fog. Her joy was untouched by shadows, and yet he saw shadows curl around her ankles as if they, too, wished to dance with her. For days he lingered at the edge of the living world, hidden behind mist and stone. He knew the laws, knew what it meant to bring a living soul into his realm, but still, he lingered, and the underworld, once quiet, began to stir. A flower that was never meant to bloom. One morning, Persephone wandered deeper than usual. The sky was clear, the birds sang, but somewhere, she did not know where, a new flower bloomed. It was pale as moonlight, petals smooth like sleep. She bent down to touch it, and the ground beneath her trembled. A crack, small at first like a sigh, then widening, splitting the earth open in silence. From that silence, darkness rose, not harsh, not violent, but stillness deep as night. And from that darkness came a chariot, drawn by horses of midnight, eyes glowing blue like embers under ice. Hades did not reach out with force. He only offered his hand. And Persephone, caught between curiosity and awe, took it. The earth closed behind them, and spring fell. That's the beginning of everything. We started talking to each other in class, in the library, after school, silent. Chapter 2. The Fragrance of Lethe Silence. That was the first thing Persephone noticed. Not the absence of noise, but a presence, deep and soft, like velvet shadows pressed against her skin. It wrapped around her as the chariot descended, deeper and deeper, through layers of earth and time. The horses' hooves no longer echoed. Their breath misted in the air, though there was no cold, only quiet. Persephone dared to look up. All around them the soil had turned dark and glimmered faintly, like stars trapped beneath the earth. Strange roots pulsed with slow light, and pale moss fluttered beside her, silent as sleep. She wasn't afraid, not yet. Below, a river shimmered, not with water, but with memory. This was Lethe, the river of forgetting. Its surface was smooth, its glow dim and inviting. Whispers drifted from it, not voices but moments. Laughter from childhood, the smell of burnt bread, the feeling of sand between toes, all floating, weightless, waiting to be forgotten. As they crossed a narrow bridge of bone and crystal, Persephone reached out instinctively. Her fingers brushed the air above the river, and a vision slipped into her mind. Her mother's smile, warm and wide, fading into fog. She pulled back. Hades turned to her. His expression was unreadable, ancient eyes behind shadowed lashes. "You do not have to forget," he said softly, "unless you wish to." Persephone looked ahead. The road bent, curling into mist. "I don't know yet," she whispered. They entered a forest of stone. Trees carved from onyx and smoky quartz lined the path. Their leaves chimed softly when touched by invisible wind. Fungi glowed at their base, soft teal and pale rose like sleeping embers. Beneath her feet, the ground pulsed like a heartbeat. It was not lifeless, this place. It was dreaming. They reached a gate, tall and silent, framed in silver bones and blooming with ghostly vines. Behind it, the palace of the underworld. Not dark, as stories claimed, but quiet, serene. Its halls echoed with memory rather than sound. Its walls shimmered like pearl in shadow. Hades stepped down first. He did not offer command, only invitation. Persephone stepped onto the obsidian path, and the gate closed behind her with a breath. In the stillness, a single white petal fell from her crown. It touched the ground and did not wither.
Chapter 3. A Palace of Stillness and Shadow. The palace of the underworld was not built, it was grown. Its walls rose like fossilized coral from the bones of the earth, arching high into the dim silence. Everything shimmered faintly. The floors of polished jet, the columns veined with pale opal, the ceilings that curved like the inside of a seashell. Shadows moved, but not with menace. They swayed like silk curtains in a wind that wasn't there. Persephone walked quietly behind Hades. She said nothing, and neither did he. The halls around them hummed with memory, not of noise, but of presence. Footsteps that once echoed, voices that had faded. The weight of centuries lived and forgotten. At the center of the palace was a garden, a hidden place, silent. Persephone stepped into it and forgot to breathe. There were no sunflowers or roses here. Instead, glowing mushrooms dotted the pathways, and delicate vines with translucent leaves curled up obsidian arches. A tree of silver stood in the middle, no leaves, no fruit, but light shimmered gently from its bark, pulsing like a sleeping heartbeat. "This is your sanctuary," Hades said. "My sanctuary? It grows with you," he answered. She touched the silver bark. It was warm. That night, she could not sleep. Not for fear, but for listening. The palace made no sound, but something hummed behind the silence. A rhythm, a breath, the heartbeat of the underworld itself. Persephone rose and wandered alone. She found a corridor she had not seen before. Along its walls were murals painted in ash and pearl. They showed her life, her laughter in the fields, her mother's embrace. Then, the moment the flower bloomed, the chariot, the descent. At the end of the corridor was a mirror. She stepped in front of it. It did not show her reflection, only darkness and two eyes watching. Her own, yet older, quieter, as if the woman in the mirror had seen centuries pass and still stood. And then, softly, the reflection smiled.